I mean, look, I know we're all hung up on Saquon Barkley, and God knows they can't let it go. I mean, they just can't let it go. The broadcast is telling you all the time. I mean, is this guy ever going to be a Philadelphia Eagle? Or is he going to be a former Giant for the rest of his career? This guy is having an incredible year. He rushed for 2,000 yards. He rushes for 2 touchdowns last week. He rushes for 3 touchdowns this week. And all anybody wants to talk about is how Joe Shane said that you don't pay a quarterback $40 million to hand off to a $12 million back. Or anybody wants to talk about is how the Giants let him go. It's asinine. It's inane. I'm over it. I've gone over this a bunch with you guys. It doesn't bother me at all. I just don't understand why we're still talking about it. It's the NFC Championship game. The Giants could not be further from this game. They literally could not be further from it. The New York Giants should be the last freaking thing. It's the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys aren't mentioned. The Giants should be the furthest thing from this game. They don't deserve to have their name mentioned during an NFC Championship broadcast. And yet it's all anybody wants to talk about. It drives me absolutely up a wall. Because I can't tell you the last time I watched Saquon Barkley in a Giants uniform on the first play of the game go 15 yards before he's touched. I can't remember the last time in a Giant uniform, Saquon Barkley scored his 2nd and 3rd touchdown of the game without having a finger laid upon him. I can't remember that ever happening, let alone in the biggest game of the freaking season. Against a team who earned their way into an NFC Championship game. But yet all we want to talk about is Saquon Barkley and where he was last year. And I know me and Fleetwood had said it a lot. They are now the new Jets, where anytime you get a chance to say something about the Giants, you take it because they're an easy target and you can't be wrong. And I don't want to keep having the same argument of I had no problem letting him go. To me, I would have traded him like in a perfect world. In a perfect world. They traded Saquon Barkley in the middle of last year at the deadline, sent him to the Houston Texans or in the AFC somewhere. They fell apart as a team. They lost enough games to draft Jaden Daniels. And right now they'd have Daniels and Saquon Barkley would be on the other side of the country. That would be a perfect world. Not having Saquon Barkley here. That's not my ideal of the perfect world. That's where I disagree with many Giant fans. I don't care that he's not a Giant. Don't. Is it great that a player that we let go as a Giant fan, that the Giants let go, is the driving force between an Eagles team going to the Super Bowl? No, I don't love it. Not ideal. But again, watch the game. I know Saquon Barkley made the big play. I know he did. They went to the Super Bowl with Miles Sanders, and I can tell you this, Miles Sanders can run 15 yards without being touched. Maybe he doesn't make a spin move and turn it into 60 and a touchdown, granted, but the way this team ran the football and dominated this game, they're going to the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley. That's how good this team is. That's how good Philadelphia's got it running. Washington didn't belong in this game. And I might be the only Giant fan. I am relatively relieved that the Washington Commanders didn't belong in this game. I'm actually relieved. Because I can handle Saquon Barkley being in the same division. But if Jaden Daniels went on the road and beat the 1 seed, and Jaden Daniels went into this building and found a way to come back from that punch in the face of the first 2 drives of this game and found a way to win this football game, I don't want Patrick Mahomes 2.0 in the division. I'll take Saquon Barkley. I'll live with it. As disgusting as it is, as much as I constantly have to be reminded that he was once a Giant, I'll live with a running back. I don't care how good, touched by the hand of God, waiting for his gold jacket. I don't care. What I don't want is a quarterback with the knack for winning games he doesn't deserve to win. That's what I don't want. And thankfully, this game got out of hand quick, and it wasn't Jaden Daniels' fault necessarily, but they turned the ball over. They weren't ready for this game. And Philadelphia clearly is. And now we head into the Super Bowl, and Philadelphia is a 1.5-point underdog to Kansas City. I think that's a great number. I am going to pound that number. We'll all be rooting for Kansas City, but the Saquon Barkley stuff, look, the running game is a absolute dynamo. They ran for 7 touchdowns. He was less than half of their rushing touchdowns.